What if what you're experiencing right now, all this inner turmoil, these silences, these waiting sessions, these invisible cleansings, weren't just a coincidence? What if Allah, in His infinite wisdom, was equipping you for something greater than you can imagine? Listen carefully. Allah will never send you someone without first preparing you to receive them. But here's the reality. Most people miss these subtle signs. They believe they're lost, when in fact, they're in the midst of divine transformation. In this video, you'll discover 7 powerful signs that you're experiencing this, not because you're alone, but because Allah is aligning you for marriage. And if you feel these signs, then know this: something sacred is coming closer. Stay until the end. Each word could be a mirror of your own heart. 1. Silence becomes your new intimacy with Allah. There comes a time in life when the noise of the world begins to tire you without you understanding why. Superficial discussions exhaust you. Purposeless gatherings suffocate you. Laughter without depth resonates like empty echoes in your soul. And then you realize something inside you is changing. It's not that you're becoming antisocial. It's not that you're distancing yourself from others out of pride. It's simply that Allah is gently bringing you back to Himself. He is removing you from the tumult, not to isolate you, but to invite you into His presence. This silence that begins to surround you is not a void. It is a sacred space, a space He is purifying to speak to you. Because before connecting you with another soul, He first wants your heart to belong entirely to Him. You notice that your prayers are becoming slower, deeper. It's no longer an obligation you fulfill quickly. You stop. You stay in sajda longer. You don't want to get up. And sometimes you cry without even being able to explain these tears. But in truth, your soul finally recognizes its source. This kind of silence isn't the silence of walls. It's the silence of a listening heart. And what you hear there are the whispers of the soul that only Allah can translate. Allah gently removes you from the turmoil because He knows that marriage is not a band-aid to fill your emptiness. It's not a solution to your boredom. Marriage is an extension of what you have already built in the invisible. If your heart is restless, marriage won't calm it. But if your heart is at peace, then that peace will become contagious. It will nourish the other. It will elevate the relationship. So when you feel that need to walk away, when you refuse certain invitations without guilt, when you get up at night just to sit in the darkness with Allah, it's not a loss. It's a preparation. You're not missing out on your life. You're returning to real life, the one that begins between you and your Lord. And in that silence, you learn what no one has ever taught you. You learn to speak without words, to love without expectation, to trust without seeing. You begin to understand that human love will never be stable if your divine bond is unstable. And that's when you realize it's not a void you're experiencing. It's a purification, an elevation, a sacred retreat. Allah wants you to depend on Him before depending on a husband or wife, because a heart that expects everything from a human being always ends up disappointed. But a heart that receives from its Creator, gives without begging, loves without breaking, and unites without attaching itself to anything other than the truth. This silence is your cocoon. It's there that your heart grows. It's there that your soul heals. It's there that Allah speaks to you, far from the noise, far from distractions. And what He says, few can hear. But those who hear it will never be the same again. 2. You feel a sudden shift in your standards. There are times when you look at your own life and say, I'm not the same person I was before. The things you accepted yesterday, you can no longer tolerate today. Not out of arrogance, not because you think you're above it, but because your soul has been readjusted. Allah has refined your outlook. What used to make you laugh no longer makes you smile. Pointless discussions, relationships that go in circles, efforts that elevate neither your den nor your heart. You no longer want them. You've begun to sort things out, not in people, but in the energies you let in. You look around you, and you understand that love isn't proven by pretty words or well-worded posts. You now know that what you're looking for isn't someone who knows how to speak, but someone who knows how to pray. Someone who doesn't worship you, but who worships Allah with you. There was a time when you thought that the right one was the one who ticked all your boxes. Handsome, ambitious, funny, stylish. But today, you realize, if this person doesn't bow down before Allah, they will never be able to stand tall in your future. This change in you is brutal, radical, and perhaps even disconcerting. You ask yourself, why am I suddenly so selective? Why am I becoming so demanding? The answer is simple. Allah is preparing you. He is purifying your outlook so that you no longer choose with your wounds, but with your faith. He wants your future not to be built on fantasies, but on a solid foundation, aligned with Him. Then you begin to see clearly. You no longer romanticize small gestures. You no longer cling to those who make fine speeches. You look. Is this person aligned with what Allah wants for me? Do they elevate my faith? Do they draw me toward the light? Or do they drain me, distract me, slow me down? And then, a truth strikes you. It is better to be alone in closeness with Allah than in bad company, in the illusion of love. You are no longer afraid to say no. No to a hollow attraction. No to a worthless complicity. No to a potential that has never been transformed into reality. You no longer wait for him or her to change. You no longer try to force connections. You want someone who has already understood that the most important relationship is the one with Allah. You don't want a king without an inner kingdom. You don't want a queen without modesty or faith. You want someone who knows how to get up at dawn, not to go to work, but to answer the call of their Lord. You haven't become difficult. You have become lucid. And this lucidity, it's a gift. Allah removes the veils from your eyes so that you don't get lost in a commitment without blessing. He teaches you that marriage is not a romantic project, but a spiritual contract. And for this contract, two hearts must be connected to Allah before being connected to each other. Otherwise, it's just a role-playing game. So yes, your standards are changing. You aspire to something else. You want to build, not consume. You want to build a home, not play at being a couple. And this desire is not a coincidence. It's a sign. 3. Emotional trials break you, but only to rebuild you. There are nights when you don't understand why your heart still cries. You thought you'd healed, you thought you'd turned the page, and yet a simple thought, a hazy memory, a word thrown into the wind, and it all comes flooding back. It's not weakness, it's purification. Allah loves you enough not to let you become attached to what wasn't meant for you. And when He takes something from you, it's never cruelly, it's wisely. A wisdom your heart will understand later, when it has learned to love in truth. You may have experienced incomprehensible silences, absences that hurt more than 1,000 words, bonds that seemed strong and collapsed in a breath. You watched someone walk away, and you wondered what you had done wrong. You cried out to yourself, without anyone hearing you. But Allah hears the sighs you no longer even utter. He sees the wounds you hide behind your outward smiles. And that's where divine love works. He doesn't rebuild your heart by gluing it back together. He recreates it. He makes you go through these pains not to break you,
but to redraw the contours of your heart, so that this heart no longer seeks a love that occupies it, but a love that elevates it. These trials, these departures, these betrayals, they are not losses, they are liberations. Allah erases what was not written for you, not to punish you, but to prepare you for something better, for something true, for something pure. He wants you to stop chasing shadows, to stop worshipping the reflections of a love that doesn't contain him. Because he knows. He knows that if you continue to love without him, you will always love empty. So he strips you of this obsession to please, of this need to be chosen, of this fear of being alone. And in this inner nakedness, he covers you with something more precious, his presence. You thought you were lost, but in reality, you were being found. You didn't understand why everything you loved was drifting away. But what you didn't see was that your heart had become attached to what wasn't meant to lead you to him. So he broke it, gently but firmly, like one breaks an idol built in secret. And today, you're still standing. Fragile, perhaps. Tired, surely. But more perceptive than ever. You know now that great pain isn't there to kill you, but to reveal you. You know now that those who leave often make more room for the one who remains. And the one who remains is him. Always him. The one who knows every crack in your heart. The one who knows how many times you've loved without return. The one who prepares you to love differently, with faith, with clarity, with dignity. Your heart wasn't broken for nothing. It was broken to be rebuilt on new foundations, eternal foundations. So the next time you feel that pain rising, don't tell yourself, I'm weak. Tell yourself, I'm being cleansed by the greatest architect.
4. You begin to build, even without spectators. You no longer wait to be seen to begin. You no longer seek validation to move forward. You build in silence. You strengthen what no one notices. Because you now know one thing: real work isn't done in the spotlight, but behind the scenes. You work on your soul. You work on your faith. You work on your language, your gaze, your intentions. You break away from certain circles, certain dialogues, certain memories. Not because you've become cold, but because you've become serious. You step into your role. You step into the preparation. You no longer wait for someone to come along and complete you one day. You want to become complete first. You want to be ready to give, not just receive. You want to be a builder of peace, not just a guest of happiness. So you lay brick after brick. You take care of your health, not to please outsiders, but because you respect the body Allah has entrusted to you. You cleanse your past. You ask for forgiveness. You close doors. You cut ties. You straighten your inner posture. And no one looks at you. No one congratulates you. But you keep going. Why? Because you know that true value is not built on the echo of applause, but on the sincerity of intention. You get up early, even when there's no obligation. You say no to certain offers, even if they flatter your ego. You reject shortcuts, excuses, and easy ways. Because you now know that marriage isn't a break in your life. It's an extension of your discipline. You no longer want to be loved. You want to be worthy of a love that leads to Allah. And that requires preparation. It requires work, sacrifice, and patience. Not on stage, not in the spotlight, but in the shadows, in hidden corners, where only Al-Bazir, the clairvoyant, observes you. And every discreet effort is counted. Every difficult choice, every temptation avoided, every invisible gesture. Everything is seen, everything is noted, everything is rewarded.
You no longer need spectators when your only audience is Allah. You no longer expect proof of love from another human being. You want to be a proof of loyalty to your Creator. And you know that He who saw you reform your character in silence will give you someone who will recognize your light without you having to shout for it to be seen. It's no longer passive waiting, it's active preparation. It's no longer maybe one day. It's I'm preparing now. Because a healthy marriage is not a teenage dream, it's a divine mission. It's a spiritual contract. It's a heavy yet beautiful responsibility. And Allah chooses those who rise before dawn, not those who wait for luck to strike. You have understood that sincerity in the invisible builds solidity in the visible. You are building your inner self, your ethics, your modesty, your strength. And even if no one understands yet, even if they mock your seriousness, even if you sometimes feel alone in your rigor, remember, Allah prepares those who prepare. And when the time comes, when your other half is presented to you, she will not only see your face, she will recognize the echo of your silent work. She will feel the strength of your invisible construction. You will not need to prove that you are ready. Your presence will speak for you. Because before seeking a spouse, you built yourself as a true servant of Allah.
5. You witness weddings around you, and your heart reacts differently. Before, each wedding invitation shook you a little. Each couple you saw holding hands rekindled something within you. A pang, a void, a silent question. And me, Ya Allah? When is it my turn? You didn't say it out loud, but your heart spoke in the silences. A lingering glance at the wedding rings, a sigh when you saw shared smiles, a discreet tear when you came across a video of the perfect proposal. But today, it's not the same. You attend these weddings, you watch these unions around you, and your heart reacts differently. It no longer trembles with anticipation. It no longer stirs with desire. He observes. He understands. He trusts. You feel a new peace. Not because you don't care, not because you've hardened yourself, but because your heart is beginning to taste a flavor that haste doesn't know. Sincere contentment in the will of Allah. You no longer want to just be married. You want to be ready for this marriage to bring you closer to good, and not for it to become a refuge built on emotion, lack, or the fear of being alone. Before, you may have made du'as insistently, with a certain veiled impatience, as if each day without an answer were a wound. Today, when you raise your hands, you say, "O Allah, prepare me," but not at my own pace, at your own pace, not with the one I want, but with the one you know is good for me. And in that sentence, there is a maturity that no one has taught you. It is your personal journey, your pain, your nightly prayers, the trials you have endured, that have transformed your outlook. You no longer idealize Instagram photos. You no longer compare your daily life to others. Because you know, what you see is only a fragment. A smile can hide a trial. A white dress does not guarantee inner peace. A ring does not always mean that the heart is fulfilled. So you no longer want to rush what Allah wisely delays. You choose intention over impatience. You prefer invocation to haste. You prefer to be prepared than to be in a hurry. And this detachment, this calm gaze you cast on the weddings of others, it's not coldness. It's not indifference. It's proof that your heart trusts. You're not insensitive. You've become lucid. You don't just want a story, you want a blessed future. You don't want a simple hand in yours, you want a soul praying beside you in the same direction. So yes, you witness weddings all around you. You congratulate some. You cry with joy for others. You distance yourself from a few who no longer inspire you. But in all this,
you feel something being born. A gentle patience, a silent certainty, a discreet but profound peace. And this peace, it is Allah who places it in the hearts of those who agree to wait not for what they desire, but for what He has planned. You do not reject love. You reject haste. You do not reject union. You reject what is not written. And every marriage you see today is no longer a threat to your expectation, but a silent reminder. Your turn will come, but not when you want it, when you are ready. 6. Your connection with Allah becomes the basis of your emotional stability. There was a time when you lived at the pace of others. Their absence broke you. Their silence suffocated you. Their approval made you exist. And every emotion you experienced seemed to have to pass through them. Your happiness, your sadness, your anger, your hurts. You sought a human gaze to validate what you felt. But slowly, almost without realizing it, something began to shift. You began to change your inner direction. You no longer seek answers in fragile hearts. You no longer run toward fickle presences. When you are exhausted, you no longer throw yourself into someone's arms. You fall into sajda. And there, on the cold ground, in the purest silence, you find the warmth that no one can offer you. There are no more speeches to repeat. No more justifications to give. You no longer need to be understood to feel relief. Because in Allah, you have found what the whole world can never give you: stability. Before, you could be overwhelmed by the anxiety of not being liked, of not being enough, of not being chosen. Today, you no longer need this external validation. Not because you no longer need love, but because you have finally found the first love that won't abandon you. When you feel joy, you raise your eyes to the sky before composing a message. When you receive good news, you smile and say, Alhamdulillah, long before sharing this joy with anyone. This isn't isolation, this isn't detachment, this is emotional alignment. You become balanced, not because everything is going well in your life, but because you know where to put what's going wrong. The storms don't go away, but you no longer drown in them. You learn to breathe in the midst of pain. You learn to smile even with a heavy heart. Because you know He listens to you even when you don't speak. And that's where true healing lies. Not in the absence of hurt, but in the constant presence of refuge. And that refuge isn't a person, it's Allah. You no longer seek to be completed by someone. You want to share your balance, not compensate for your disorder. You want to offer your calm, not transfer your wounds. And this transformation, it's not always visible. It's discreet, but it's powerful. Because those who learn to emotionally refocus around their connection with Allah become inaccessible to emotional dependence. You no longer need to beg for love. You no longer need to explain your worth 1,000 times over. You're no longer afraid of being alone because you know you never truly are. You become that person who can't be completely destabilized. You have your ups and downs, but you have an anchor, a focus, a direction, a light, and Allah. Allah only unites those who already know how to rely on Him, not those who seek to make marriage their cure, but those who have made it an extension of their inner peace. What you build today in your intimacy with Him, what you place in your raised hands, what you sing in your silent invocations, what you cry in the night while the world sleeps, this is what you will bring into your marriage. Not a broken version of yourself, seeking a savior, but a restored heart, stable, connected, ready to love without forgetting itself. And in this preparation, you understand that the true companion is not the one who carries you, but the one who joins you in this deep connection with Allah. 7. An inexplicable feeling of preparation pervades you. There are seasons in life when everything seems silent, nothing moves. The days repeat themselves, but inside you, something unusual is happening. A sensation, almost invisible, almost unpronounceable. You don't know how to explain it, but you feel that something is approaching. You have no concrete clues, no announcement, nothing visible. But your heart is awakening, as if a gentle inner voice is calling you to prepare. It's not a rush. It's not an obsession. It's deeper. It's like a divine ordering, silent but precise. You feel the need to purify your inner self, to distance yourself from certain habits, to tidy your room, your past, your conscience. Your soul knows before you do that something is going to change. You begin to dream more often, not chaotic dreams, realistic dreams, with names, words, blurred faces, but a powerful feeling. You hear reminders that flow through you as if they were meant for you. You read a sentence and your heart stops. You come across a word and it stays with you all day. Your intuition becomes more sensitive, more connected, as if Allah Himself were shaping you internally. You don't try to force things. You don't harass destiny. You don't need to open every door, because you understand that the one written for you will open with the clarity of Saber. And that's the beauty of this preparation. It's not based on agitation, but on receptivity. When Allah wants to unite two hearts, He synchronizes them in the invisible long before they cross paths in the visible. He cleanses what is superfluous. He repairs the silent rifts. He removes the illusions that could pollute the relationship. He makes room for what is truly destined. And you feel yourself entering this inner chamber, a space where you are formed to welcome the obvious. Because this marriage you are waiting for is not a chance encounter. It is a heavenly assignment. It is not the result of chance. It is the fruit of a preparation that only Allah orchestrates with such meticulousness. So you walk more gently. You choose more wisely. You listen more attentively. Every day you feel something adjusting you, a thought that inclines you toward greater patience, a pain that teaches you resilience, a silence that gives you clarity. These are not coincidences. These are alignments. The heart you will love. Allah already knows it, and He will not send you that heart until you are ready to honor it as He wills. Not with your flaws, but with your light. Not with your shortcomings, but with your connection. And when that day comes, it will not be a surprise. It will not be a shock. It will not even be euphoric. It will be obvious. As if your heart were telling you, this is it. As if it finally recognized what it was formed for. As if all your intuitions found their answer in a tranquil gaze. Not in promises, but in an inner peace that says, this is where it begins. This feeling you are experiencing today, this silent thrill, this inner voice, this sweet presentiment. Do not despise it. Do not reject it. It is Allah who prepares the arrival. And when He orchestrates a union, it is never in turmoil. It is always in the calm of an aligned heart. If you recognize even one of these signs in your life, know that you are not forgotten. You are being prepared. You are in the hands of the best of planners. Marriage is not a romantic dream. It's a divine mission, and Allah doesn't entrust this mission to unprepared souls. So don't doubt. Keep building yourself. Keep trusting. Keep loving Him first. And when your heart is ready, your destiny will recognize you. If this message resonated with you, comment, I'm in preparation, share this video with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to receive other reminders that speak to the soul. Because here, we're not just talking about marriage. We're talking about what Allah places within you, even before you meet your partner.